Last time we went through residential proxies and where each of the big names quietly falls down. Today we are doing the category I actually know best, mobile proxies, because this is the one I run for a living. And I need to warn you up front, this is the corner of the proxy market with the most wrestlers, the most markup, and the most people selling you something they do not actually own. So let me show you how it really works from the inside. Quick disclosure, same as always, because it is the whole point of this channel. I run a mobile proxy operation, real phones on real carrier connections here in Singapore. So when I talk about mobile proxies, I am not a reviewer looking in from outside. I am one of the people whose network gets resold by half the listings you see. That means I am biased. And it also means I can tell you exactly where the bodies are buried. I will tell you when mobile is the wrong tool and you should just buy residential from the last video instead. Here is the plan. First, what a mobile proxy actually is and why sites struggle to block it. Then the big secret of this market, resellers versus operators and how to tell them apart. Then the providers people ask me about and who each one is for. No fake speed test, no scores out of 10, just how an operator thinks about buying. So what is a mobile proxies? It routes your traffic through a real phone connected to a mobile carrier over 4G or 5G instead of a home line or a server. The magic is not the phone, it is how carriers hand out addresses. A mobile carrier does not give every phone its own public IP. It puts thousands of real phones behind the same handful of addresses using something called carrier-grade net. So the address you are browsing from is shared right now by thousands of genuine people doing genuine things on their phones. That one fact is why mobile proxies are so hard to block. Think about it from the website side. If they ban that address to stop you, they also ban thousands of real customers sitting behind it. No serious platform is willing to do that. So a mobile address gets enormous benefit of the doubt, far more than a residential one, and worlds more than a data center one. That is why mobile sits at the very top of the trust ladder. It also rotates in a way nothing else can match. When a phone moves between towers or the carrier cycles its connection, it gets a brand new address that is just as trusted as the last one. So you get a stream of fresh, high-trust addresses from a real network, not a recycled pool that has been hammered for 2 years. That combination, shared trust plus genuine rotation, is the thing you are actually paying for. Now the part the market does not want you to understand, because confusion is how the markup survives. There are really only two kinds of seller in mobile proxies. There are operators, the people who own the physical phones and SIMs and run the farm. And there are resellers who buy access from operators and put their own logo and price on it. The vast majority of listings you see on the forums, on the slick websites are resellers. Nothing wrong with reselling in itself, but you are often paying 3 or 4 times what the operator charges for the exact same address with an extra middleman who cannot fix anything when it breaks. So how do you tell an operator from a reseller? Because they all use the same words. An operator can talk about their hardware, ask which carriers, ask whether the phones are real handsets or modems, ask where the farm physically is. An operator answers instantly because it is their stuff. A reseller gets vague because they genuinely do not know. They are just renting an UPIA. Ask whether the port is dedicated to you or shared with other customers. Ask if you can trigger an IP change yourself. Ask how many other people are on your phone right now. The answers and how fast they come tell you who you are really dealing with. The second tell is the price itself. Mobile bandwidth has a hard floor. Real SIMs cost real money every month. Real phones draw power and need replacing. So when a mobile proxy is priced like a cheap residential gigabyte, something is off. Either it is not really mobile or it is one phone oversold to 100 customers, so your share is useless at the moment you need it. Cheap mobile usually means crowded mobile, and a crowded phone is a slow, unreliable phone. The third tell is dedicated versus shared. A dedicated mobile proxy means that phone is yours, you are the only one using its connection, and you control when it rotates. A shared one means you are sharing that phone with strangers whose traffic you cannot see and cannot control. For serious account work, you want dedicated full stop. Shared is fine for light scraping where you do not care who your neighbors are, but for anything that logs in, dedicated is the only sane choice. With that framework, let us talk names and I will be fair to all of them. The big general proxy companies, the ones from the residential video, mostly offer a mobile tier 2. Bright Data has mobile, it is enterprise grade and enterprise priced, and it is genuinely strong, but you are paying for scale and a sales process you may not need. SOX offers mobile with good geographic targeting, clean and well run. Again, priced for businesses, these are solid if you are a company that wants one vendor for everything and has the budget. Then there are the mobile specialists. eProyal sells mobile alongside its other products and is one of the more approachable self-serve options. Maven offers mobile with its usual focus on filtering for quality over raw pool size. These are reasonable middle options for someone who wants mobile without an enterprise contract. Then there is a completely different model worth knowing about, the do-it-yourself route, and iProxy.online is the name here. Instead of renting from a pool, you buy their software, plug in your own Android phones with your own SIMs, and turn your own devices into private mobile proxies. It is more work and you supply the hardware, but you own the whole thing and nobody is overselling your connection. For a small operator who wants a handful of private mobile APIs and does not want to trust a reseller, that model genuinely makes sense. It is basically becoming a tiny operator yourself. And then there is the long tail, the forum listings, and the cheap dashboards, which is mostly resellers buying from a few real operators and marking it up. Some are fine and honest about being resellers. Many are not, and you find out when the connection dies at midnight and the only support is a username that stopped replying. This is the part of the market I would treat with the same caution as the cheap residential end. If they cannot tell you whose phones these are, you are the product. Before you ever hand over money, test the connection in the first 10 minutes because mobile is the easiest category to verify and the one resellers least want you to check. Point 1, curl request through the proxy at a neutral endpoint that just reports your address back. And read 3 things. Is the address actually Singapore? Is the carrier a real mobile network like Singtel or M1 and not some data center name? And does it change when you trigger a rotation? If all 3 check out, you are talking to a real phone. If the carrier comes back as a hosting company, you were sold a data center line wearing a mobile label. Then ask the one number that actually decides your speed, the oversubscription ratio. How many customers share this phone right now? An operator knows the answer because it is their hardware, and a good one keeps the ratio low or gives you a dedicated port nobody else touches. A reseller cannot tell you because they are renting an API and have no idea how crowded the pool behind it is. A phone shared by 2 careful customers is fast and stable. The same phone split across 50 people is a slideshow at the exact moment you need it, and no amount of marketing fixes a crowded line. The last thing to sanity check is the price against physics, because mobile has a hard floor that residential does not. A real SIM costs real money every month. A real handset draws power and eventually dies and gets replaced, and someone has to sit there and keep the farm alive. So when a mobile proxy is priced like a throwaway residential gigabyte, the cheapness is the warning. Either it is not really mobile or it is one phone oversold to a crowd, or the support vanishes the night it breaks. A fair operator price reflects the hardware underneath it, and that is a feature, not a ripoff. And if your work logs into accounts, push on session control before you buy. You want sticky sessions that hold one address long enough to finish a login or a checkout, and you want to know the rotation is on your schedule, not a random reset in the middle of a task. An operator hands you both on separate ports and lets you choose. A reseller gives you whatever the upstream AP happens to expose, which is usually blind rotation that logs you out halfway through the job. So who is mobile actually for, plainly? Mobile is the right tool when your target is hard and account heavy, the things that get residential flagged. Running and managing many accounts on a platform that links people aggressively, social platforms, anything that fingerprints hard, anything where one mistake burns the whole batch, that is exactly where the shared carrier trust earns its higher price. Mobile is the wrong tool when you are scraping public data at volume on a target that tolerates residential just fine. There, mobile is a waste of money, and I will be the first to tell you to go buy residential instead, even though I sell mobile. Here is my honest placement, and you already know I sell this stuff. I run real phones in Singapore, dedicated ports, real local carrier IPs, the kind of thing I just described as the operator end of the market. So I am exactly the bias I warned you about, which is precisely why I tell you to test everything, including mine. Ask me the same hardware questions, the carriers, the dedicated ports, whether you can rotate on demand, and hold me to the same standard as everyone else. A good operator welcomes that, because the test is what separates us from the reseller who cannot answer. If you want the full breakdown, the operators worth buying from, the resellers marking up the same addresses, and the questions that expose which is which, it all lives at blackhatreview.org. I keep it honest because trust is the only thing this channel sells, and I would rather you believe me on the one product I actually run than oversell you on the rest. Next up, I am going one level deeper into the account side. Cloud phones versus Android emulators for running multiple accounts. Why one gets caught instantly and the other does not. If that is useful, subscribe, because there is one tested, honest review here every weekday. I will see you in the next one.